Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
Griff.
I'm Bucket.
What's up, guys? My brain
Uh,
almost went, wait, I didn't hear the second one. Am I supposed to go yet? Oh, it's out of town.
Yeah, it's starting to feel natural at this point for me. So,
I mean, I guess it's because, like, we've been doing this for years, and it's one of those things where I'm always second. And now that, like, he's out of town more often, it's like, wait, is it me? It's me. It's me. It's go. It's me. My brain, that's like, it's a bunch of little green army men from Toy Story going, go.
oh, it's
Uh,
all I can see now.
I know.
Go.
Mm.
All right.
Well then, and my voice is going too, which is really unfortunate because I have
Oh,
thing to rant about on this show and I need it. So I imagine after this show, I'm gonna be voiceless. But for now, it's
oh
here.
yeah.
It's here.
For
So, I can already tell us what we've been doing, which has been a lot of PlateUp, and we played some D&D, and we also played some.
Overwatch.
Yes, sorry, I was like that other thing that we've been playing with 5 people. It's not like my brain. My brain.
Overwatch, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
I know. But PlateUp is definitely between me and Chicken and my sister, the crack. It is like the addiction right now. That is it. That's all there is in life. Is like let me spend 15 minutes. Do I have time? I've got 15 minutes. Okay, that's like 2 days in PlateUp. Let me go ahead and do that. Where do I need to put this? Where do I need to put that? How does this work? How can I make that
That
better?
game is so ungodly strategic than I could have ever imagined. Like, for being a dumb cooking
Yeah,
sim
right?
serving game, like the amount of strategy in that thing is crazy.
It's fun though. Like that's what makes it fun is that it's like, oh, look at the dumb premise of this game. Why is it so stressful? Why can't I stop thinking about it?
I mean, I'm always sitting there trying to redesign kitchens and make them more efficient. Like I have this thing where efficiency is like always my goal, and this game just lets me do that. And it's always like, how can I do it better? How can I do it better? How can I make it easier? How do I make it quicker? It's like, okay, do
Mm-hmm.
it like that. There's a lot
There's a
that
lot
you're
to it.
able to do in a game like that.
Yep.
And a lot of it comes down to luck too. Like that's the part of it. Like I could think of the perfect plan, but getting lucky and getting the pieces to make that plan happen are the part of the game.
But that's like the roguelike part of it, like the RNG aspect that can kill you at any second is like, if I gotta get a
Yes.
sink this time, I need a sink. Please, a sink. Oh no sink. What am I gonna do? You know?
I know very, very well.
For people that have never played this game, they're like, what are they talking about? Just it,
It's a
it's a dumb
roguelike
fun game, you know?
it's a roguelike version of Overcooked.
Yeah, kind of.
It's just like that.
But we've been doing that a lot too.
Yes.
I imagine in the next several shows you'll probably hear us talk more about D&D because we've started playing that again for the first time in 6 months ish.
7, 8 months. It's been a while.
So
it was a while.
June.
no, we played in like October, I think was the last time that I
I
had
know.
updated.
No, we made plans for it because Red even said the last time I opened up these notes was in June, or June 21st, I think he said it was. We made plans in October because we said it's been so long, and those fell through.
Okay, well, whatever. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
And it's been a very long time.
I think Red was tired or something or another on that day, but
His legs hurt. He couldn't play. That's an inside joke. Sorry, everybody.
took a nap on the stairs.
Yes, he took a nap
Yes.
on the stairs. Couldn't play. It's too much. Oh man. This will kind of lead us into the news unless there's something specific you want to talk
I've
about.
been
I
playing
know.
Dead Space. I bought and downloaded that game, and holy shit! You talk about a good remake. This is exactly what you want from a remake. Like this game is so good. The first one got like 8s and 9s across the board. This game exactly the same. It's like a perfect upgrade from the original. Not only did they make the story bigger, it's almost like what they're doing with The Last of Us from the game to the show, where they just expanded on all these parts. Same thing. They took this game and just expanded everything. It's been so long since I've been playing it, and after I think it was Friday, I was like, man, there's a lot of parts in here that just seem so different to me, but I can't place it because it's been so long. Yeah, like getting to like actually
Get to know your character.
learn your main character, like feel more connected to him. It's a lot better. Like you learn his backstory, you hear him talk, you actually get some response from him. Like every so often, when you're just stomping the necromorphs, you'll just hear him scream out "fuck" or "take that, bitch," and it's like, yeah, get him, stop more, let's go. Like you feel it too. So he's got some personality in there too. Like he's just tired of this. Like these things are everywhere, every corner, every vent.
Everywhere.
So it's nice to get some reaction out of him this time and learn about him and actually get some interaction between the different characters. So I have been enjoying the graphics upgrades are incredible. The game looks so good, even on medium settings for me. And the game is intense too. Like it takes a lot of power to run that thing because it's using the Frostbite engine.
Ugh.
Anybody who's played Anthem knows exactly what the Frostbite engine. But regardless, the game looks so good, handles so good. I did have one oopsie daisy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
At the beginning of the game, it says this game was designed for a solid state drive. If you do not have a solid state drive, you may run into bugs or issues or performance problems. Beware. Okay, no big deal. I'm not worried about that. 5 hours into the game, I make it to a save point, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go. I go into this room, and it's like, oh, there's a bunch of necromorphs in there. I'm gonna turn back and check this other way. I go back the other way, and oh, it leads me back to the safe area for this front zone. Cool. I'm gonna restock, reload, and get everything ready. Save the game here. Head back down to that other room. Head back down. Okay, here's the save spot before the next room. Save it here. Okay, cool. Oh shit! 2 necromorphs, a fat one, and a bunch of little ones come just charging at me and kill me. And I'm like, oh damn, that sucks. So I die. Okay, whatever. Waiting here for it to load back in. It sounds like I'm being attacked. Oh, there goes the flat line. I'm dead before it even loads in. So it just cycles the load screen again. I'm like, oh no. I'm stuck in a death loop. I can't do anything. So it does it again and I die. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I can't do anything while it's loading. So I just start mashing the melee button and I can feel my controller vibrating while Isaac is just swinging, trying to keep these things back while I load in. And I'm like, oh no. And then it loads in as he's dying. And I'm like, at least I got to see his death this time. And I just gave up for that day. I came back the next day and I was like, okay, loaded up the game. Because it was the first time I loaded it, I actually watched his death animation, but because the game was loaded, I could hit this pause screen, and I could load it from the last save. Okay, we're safe. We could load from here. Then I closed out the game and had to do it again, but I got to load it from the auto save before I got stuck in the death loop.
But you can't just pick to load that from the start. You had to like go into the game.
I could only do it from when I started up the game the first time. Other than that, the game would take too long to load up your next one, and you would get stuck in a death loop. I was like, okay, I got to close the game out, start it up again, die, then I can click the screen because I've got enough screen time watching Isaac die, and I can load from there. Oh man. Whew. But yes, that was the only problem I've had so far, but I got through it, and I'm 20 hours in so far, enjoying the shit out of it. 10 hours in, 15 hours. I can't wait to like play some more of it. I'm definitely hooked on it. I'm a plasma cutter kind of guy. There have been sometimes the kind of kills that you can do are so good. At one point, one of the necromorphs was coming around the corner, and I picked up a spike and hit him with it, and he got pushed against the wall. And I picked up another one and threw it at him, and he got pinned to the wall.
That's so
and I was
really
like, oh,
gross.
That's cool. He's just stuck to the wall, pinned to it. And I was like, oh, that's cool as hell.
It's gross.
Later on, I got one of the big laser cutter guns. It's one of the later ons, and I had it, and one of them went to jump at me, and you could see them jump, and I shot him, and he got split in half, and you just see him split and like fall over. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's so cool.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's really gross.
It is, but I mean, these things are really gross. This is a horror game, horror survival game, and all of the weapons are just tools. They're not actually weapons. They're just tools. Short of the pulse rifle, which is a weapon. The rest of them are just tools. So you do what you can. Got a saw blade. You just like to throw it at them, shoot it at them, and it bounces around and chops them up. So, but yeah, I've been enjoying the hell out of it. It is so good for a remake, and that only gets me even more excited for the Resident Evil 4 remake, which I've been dreaming about apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm picking that up again too.
You mentioned the remake thing. Ollie was like talking about what we were excited about next, and I was like, I don't even think there's anything I'm looking forward to. That's not true. I just forgot that there was Cyberpunk DLC that's like right around the corner. So I'm looking forward to that. But I gotta finish this run of Cyberpunk before I can do that. So
Baldur's Gate 3 comes out soonish.
like the full version of it, finally.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, let them take their time. They've been polishing this thing. They've been working on it.
I know, but it's been in early access for like 2 years or something.
Let them.
I mean, I'd rather that be 2 years than another Cyberpunk mistake.
Well, that's true. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, like, don't show it to me if it's not ready yet. Like, dude, just come on.
I mean, they did that with Cyberpunk.
I know.
Yeah, to be fair though, and with the Baldur's Gate though, they have been getting feedback and the early access. Like when I play with it, I try to see what I can do to fucking break the game, because yeah, fun.
Whilst also looking for cheese strats that hopefully nobody will report.
But I'll report them, like if the game crashes or if it causes an issue where it's like, oh look, I did this thing and now I can no longer move anywhere, or the monsters or something are no longer taking their turns.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's like you have to go before I can go. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's the point.
They're stuck in taking their turn for some reason and like not able to do anything.
They're that one friend that's got to strategically think out literally every move they could make before they go. So it's not that they're not going to, it's just that they have to run through all of the possibilities first.
You would think an AI, though, would be faster than 10 minutes. Yes. I let it sit there for
maybe
like
there are that many choices. You don't know.
Yeah, right. An AI could handle that. An AI could handle millions of choices in like a second.
Well, that's true. But you mentioned faithful adaptations, and I guess that is one of the things that we wanted to talk about this week, is because we forgot to talk about it after the first episode, or maybe we talked about it last on the first episode the day that they came out. But The Last of Us, the show, so good. Like, I won't
get to watch it.
I won't give any spoilers, but at the same time, like, what's the rule with spoilers on that, because it's an adaptation from a game that's been out for a long time? So do you go by like, oh, you should have played the game by now, so you should know the spoilers are fine based on the context of the game, but we won't spoil anything that's new?
Not after this last episode.
Okay.
Like, because they expand the universe
that's true.
Substantially, which is good. Like, this is what you want. When you change it to a different medium, expand. Like, you can use the game's inspiration and the foundations of it, and you can expand upon that in certain aspects, which I think this last episode did in a way that nobody was expecting. Nobody expected it to turn out like this, which everyone's like, oh wow.
It sets a little bit of a different tone for a certain character too, which is kind of nice, around their happenstances and everything. It's pretty cool. I'm usually a stickler about what's going to get changed and what doesn't in an adaptation from one thing to another, or even if they're doing a remake of a game or they're like, we changed this about it. It's like, stop it, don't do that. But what they've changed about this, that I have literally zero issues with at all. A lot of it, they did take out a lot of the stuff that's like, okay, this is for gameplay purposes because you're playing a video game, but it didn't need to be in the show because you don't have to have filler like that. Essentially, you can just tell the story. So I don't even have a problem with that. Like, that's not, I don't care. It's so good. Yes,
it is so good. Like, not only do they expand in certain moments that you don't expect, and it makes it so much better, or change minor things that just add to the quality that make it better.
Mm.
There are specific parts that they do almost a one-to-one recreation
Yeah, it's
from
so
the game,
good.
which makes it even better. It's like you feel so related to certain parts, because I showed Griff last night. It was like somebody did a one-to-one from the game to the show of certain scenes. It's like
It's so good.
it looks so much like the game, and sometimes even Griff says that the main characters sound like their game
They do.
counterparts.
Like Bella
Like,
Ramsey and Pedro Pascal are just knocking it out of the park because sometimes they sound identical to Joel and
I'm
Ellie.
still not convinced that they don't like
Dub over.
dub over with their actual in-game
Nah.
voices sometimes.
I think
It's
Bella Ramsey
crazy
is the
how
one
good they are.
that's more different from Ashley Johnson than Pedro Pascal from Troy Baker. I think Pedro's like nailed it for sure.
Yes.
As far as the accent and Joel's like gruffness and things like that. It's really good. It's really good. So
Yes. Yes. It is really good is an understatement. So and so far, because one of these articles is The Last of Us the best video game adaptation ever?
yes.
Yes.
So far, yes, it is. It's
So
set the
far.
bar really high. Please, everybody else that wants to make an adaptation, fall in line. You know?
Because even things like the League of Legends animation Arcane and Netflix's Cyberpunk Edge Runners, yeah, those are good stories.
But those aren't
with that
adaptations from the
universe.
game. They're
Exactly. Like those are just
expanded
stories
universe.
inside the universe.
Yeah.
And this is an actual adaptation of this game.
Yes.
And it being almost a one-to-one parody with flowers put all around it is like, oh my god.
I don't think that lessens what something like Arcane or Edge Runners does. They're still really faithful to the world that the game has
those
created.
are not adaptations.
But they're not adaptations. Like, this is a different beast. You have to separate those two things. We're not saying those are not good. They are. They're just not, an adaptation. Because League of Legends is a MOBA. What are you going to adapt? You just got to adapt the lore. So, but this is like a full story game that you're adapting into a full story show. So
exactly.
you can, add touches here and
you
there.
have as much story like this one you have to work within the confines of what you are shown via game, and however else they want to adjust it. Or if things like Cyberpunk and Arcane, you can take a loosely based lore and then write however story. With
Mhm.
League, you've got 180 something characters. You can build a story out of it any sort of way that you want.
Yeah.
Cool. You get some good writers and you can do anything with it. Like, and I've seen with like a single style of story, you're gonna need some good writers to be able to make that into such a good one. Which the guy who directed this,
Mm-hmm.
he gets first dibs on whatever else he wants to do, because he's the one who did Chernobyl too.
Yeah, no, it's so good. I guess he does really well with apocalypse scenarios.
Well, not even. It's like high drama, like
That's true. I
suspense
guess
style.
Chernobyl wasn't apocalypse, but like the setting of it
was-
felt apocalyptic,
Yeah, like he does these huge, grand, extreme, emotional stories with so much intensity in them. He knows how to get intensity off of the characters and put it through the screen.
Yeah, it's
Because
really
you
good.
feel it. Every
Set
episode of
design has been
Chernobyl.
amazing.
Yes. So whatever he wants to do, you give it to him. Like if he's like, "Hey, I'd be interested in it," sign it. Just sign it and
Just
do it. He has proven himself very capable.
Well,
of
I
adapting.
usually I don't like to jump on the bandwagon about something like a series that's not finished, because I like to be able to watch it and then make my decision on whether or not I felt it fulfilled what it was supposed to be doing. But I think this one is gonna do that based on how they've started. I don't think that they're gonna derail it at the halfway mark,
I only see it getting better. Like I do not foresee them like taking a nosedive and getting bad.
Yeah.
Like with how much of a stranglehold Neil Druckmann has on like the writing of the story, and so far his creative choices have been right, and the director being able to take those choices and put them in such a perfect way on the screen, you've got a good combination here. It's working. As long as they have been working together instead of against each other, it's going to be fine. It's going to be one of those things that people watch for years and years and years.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it, and I hope that anything else that wants to go from a game to please TV show, because games to movies, you don't have enough time. You don't have enough time to make sense. Just take good games, move them to a show format like this, and then go from there. Because this is the way you should do it. You can get your pacing down. You have 6 to 8 episodes that you can have at about an hour a piece. So you've got 6 to 8 hours to tell your story instead of 2. Do it. Just do it. Commit to the quality. I guess to get into the rest of the news, that The Last of Us is originally a Sony product. So that could mean that we could jump over to Sony and the VR2 shipments, which apparently, reportedly, they were having the shipment forecast because of disappointing pre-orders, but Sony's like, no, we didn't do that. We're glad that everybody's really excited about this. And that's the end of the statement, basically.
If they wouldn't have made it so that it wasn't backwards compatible, they would have sold more of them. But having to buy a new one and then buy all new games for it is just extremely off-putting.
But I mean, that's kind of the Sony MO, though. Like,
I know.
They stopped doing backwards compatibility like right after the PS3 launched, because they had the first ones that did it and then the subsequent ones that didn't. And then PS4 and PS5 were like, yeah, you could buy that digitally, again.
That way they can make more money.
Yes, it is definitely a nice way to make extra cash off of your hardcore fans, which is kind of rude. But yeah. So basically there was there was a report that said they were going to cut the number. They say they're not. I mean, I don't know. I guess whatever. It is what it is. I don't really know where to go with that one. I'm sure Oak would have a lot of feedback about it, but I don't. I could tell, like, based on how long we've done the show together and everything, which things that he would be able to talk more at length about, and which things I will be able to talk more at length about. That's not one of mine.
You know, like Dragon Age.
Hey, we'll get to that. I'm saving that
like
one.
I said, I feel that the part of the reason that they're not going to be pushing these as well is just because people don't want to have to buy a new one. If you want to buy a new one, cool, but I need access to my old library too. It'd be like Steam coming out and being like, "Here's Steam version 2.
Steam 2.0.
You've got to buy a whole new games to go with it." It's like, no, absolutely not.
All your games are null and void. You have to buy them again for Steam 2.0.
A lot of people have talked about it being based on hardware restrictions and the fact that the hardware is different, so intrinsically you can't just move one to the other. But I would argue that you should have ways to port those, without having to rebuy, because you are the same, you're the same console maker. I don't know. It just feels weird. I guess it's how they make money. I mean, do it, I guess, or don't, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's 2 years till we get our headset, so...
Well, it won't be a Sony one, though.
At this point, they just have to do kind of similar to, like, Windows and stuff, where, I mean, the hardware is always going to be different and stuff. Just make a base operating system that is compatible with all this shit.
100%.
But why
That's how you do it. So that people will keep buying your hardware, because they get to keep using their software.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, but they're not going to do it, so it doesn't matter. But generally, a company that has been pretty successful with backwards compatibility and letting you keep your stuff from place to place has been Microsoft, and we have 2 Microsoft-related things. I guess to follow up from last week, because we talked about 343's shifting directions with Halo. Apparently nearly 100 staff got axed from them. And it's like, oh, you cut 100 people. I wonder what it feels like for everybody else in the office right now. You're changing directions. You fired a bunch of folks. You're not supporting this. You're going to support that instead. You're going to do this and not that. Like, what is going on? Can we get a new business plan? I think I'd be like, okay, I'm going to start working on my resume so I can start submitting it, because these people were like, okay, today's Tuesday. You guys should clear out your office because on Friday you don't have a job anymore. Have a nice week. I'm like, oh.
Man, it sucks because it's just watching Halo get rebooted again.
Well, and that's what they're going to do is basically they're gonna kind of start over, and I I guess like are you restarting the whole thing? Because you did, you had the Halos numbered, and then you did Infinite, and it's not Infinite because people didn't like it all that much. So what do you do
Yeah,
now? Do you go back to original Halo and like completely restart, or uh, what do we do
we
now?
will find out as early as next year. If not, it'll be a little while, and they will just keep floating Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I mean they're still working on the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna float Halo Infinite for a while until they can get it, but I do not see a new Halo for years. Halo Infinite is gonna be what sits there and decays into the dirt for a long time. And if they do not take a long time to make a better product for the Halo franchise, then it's not going to be good because they're just going to try to
It's
rush
gonna be
something out
bad.
to keep Halo in Halo in the news.
Hmm. I mean,
So,
probably. I don't know. We'll see. I think you're right. I think if we don't hear about a new Halo in the next like 2 years, it's gonna be probably a decade before you get anything else.
something major.
But basically, the next one has to be amazing because you've been trending so far downward that you can only save the franchise if you really knock it out of the park with the next one. And it has
Yeah,
to be the
like
next one. You can't have another this one's not great. It has to
yeah,
be amazing or else you've lost.
yep. Because if you come out with another mediocre one, that's going to be what the Halo franchise is at that point. Like it
I
becomes
mean,
mediocre.
I feel like this could have been the last stand for them too cuz it's
No,
one of
no, no.
those things
This
where
is
it's like
the
how many
end
people give
because
you
this is
another
Halo.
chance?
This is Halo 3. This is the third Halo from them. And this was like, okay. Then they take three different directions and none of them stick. It's like, okay, you guys are really meh. Really, really meh. So whatever they do after this, because that's like one of the tipping points. You had Halo 1, 2, and 3, God-giving games. Halo Reach, really pretty fucking good. And 343 helped work on that with Bungie. It was like, okay, that's pretty good. Then you got Halo 4, eh. You skip the end of the story. You do Halo 5, it's like, eh. Then you build up Halo Infinite, and it's like, eh. So the Halo series right now is like, eh. The name carries weight, but the most recent stuff is like not there.
I would argue the name carries weight more with the older section of gamers. And by older, I mean like anybody that's like
But
27 plus,
but that's my
basically.
point is that us carrying that name, believing Halo is good, because if the next one comes out and it's mediocre again, then mediocrity is going to carry that
Well,
name
I mean, but
even from us.
that's what I'm saying though is like you have to knock it out of the park to get it to be relevant again. You are an
Mhm.
aged franchise that, and I'm not saying aged is bad. It's not. The first three and Reach are fantastic games, pinnacle of gaming kind of stuff, and changed a lot of things about the industry. But if it's gonna be irrelevant at this point if you don't figure out a way to get all of the old franchise people back and a new group of people because we're all gonna age out of it basically. It's like we're done buying games on oh yay it's Halo because the last couple of games of oh yay it's Halo have been like oh it's this is not Halo for me.
I bought Halo 4, played Halo 5 on Game Pass, played Halo Infinite on Game Pass because it's not worth it.
Yeah, so it is what it is. We'll see what happens next. And I guess to continue the trend of talking about an aged franchise, the Coalition apparently has canceled 2 unannounced games so that they could focus on Gear 6. So that's kind of sad because one, like I think Chicken said something about like how much of a mess is Gear 6 that you had to cancel 2 whole projects so you could focus your team on it. True. True. What's going on? How bad is it and why is it so bad? And I guess it sucks because the coalition's really only worked on the gear stuff. It's like it would have been nice to see what they had themselves,
Hmm.
instead of it being like cancel all of our ideas so that we can continue to work on the franchise that we already have because reasons, But it is what it is.
We'll,
They
we'll
How
also,
that goes well for two franchises for them.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks. And
I think it's like I'm really starting to feel like Microsoft is a good company and all, but I don't feel like they are that well of a game company. Like they hire contractors and people to work for them. And it feels like way back in the day, like between 2000 to 2010, like people wanted to make games. They got hired at a company and they were passionate and vibrant and wanted to work on Halo or wanted to make Gears of War or wanted to work on this game. And now everybody feels like just a cog working on a game.
but well, that's the thing though, is we're talking about these two specific games that we're talking about right here are aged franchises. You are continuing to drag out stories from a franchise that had its heyday and is not, I mean, I would say Halo is in decline and Gears is less important than it used to be. I mean, both of those two games were amazing. The first three were revolutionary. I mean, Gears is why we have cover shooters, basically. But we're on to Halo 6, or Halo 6, Gears 6, and you have to focus a whole team to try to figure out how to make that fresh, I guess, so that it doesn't feel like the franchise that it is. Because let me check. When did the first Gears come out? I'm gonna Google it real quick.
2002 or 3, maybe 1, somewhere in that early 2000s era, maybe 2005. I think that was Gears 2.
2006, November 7th, 2006 was the first Gears of War.
Damn.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
late.
think about
2001
how
was the
far
first
down the
BioShock, I
road
think.
we are from the first one, and you're still trying to make it feel exciting and fresh and not just, same old, which I know with 4 they took it in a different direction. Now you have different main character to focus on and things like that, which was really, I mean, almost kind of unfair because they bait and switched you with the main character thing on that. You were all wrapped up in Marcus Phoenix being the main character from 1 to 3, and they're like, look, it's his kid. Just kidding, he's not the main character, you guys.
Yeah, the old bait and switch was a little rough.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done a lot better about how they introduced our new character.
I don't care who the main character was, even if it was a female.
Well,
I don't
it's
care.
Not about who.
It was the bait and switch.
Yeah.
You could have sold me on her being the main character. That's fine, but you don't bring in Marcus Phoenix's kid, try to make him the main character, and then spin it and like try to make somebody else the star. It's like,
yeah, it feels like at that
robbery.
point you were trying to do that because we were already attached to the Phoenix name, and you felt like your other character wasn't strong enough to pull anybody in.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to go with the attachment to try to then reattach us to somebody else, and then go from there. It's like, well, be confident in your work. Sell us the new character.
Yeah, like you could have started that whole story developing around her. And then we find Marcus, and he never tells us his last name. And then eventually we find out that this is Marcus Phoenix's kid. Oh, shit.
4 didn't get me excited enough. The bait and switch kind of, hurt my feels a little bit. I haven't played 5 yet. Like, that's the thing, is one of those things where it's like you've got to focus your whole studio and all of your resources on making this something that will pull people like me back in, who are serious supporters of, the first half of the franchise and wanted to continue in with this one, but you lost them along the way. I would assume that's why they're trying to refocus.
I've heard 5 is pretty good from a lot of different places. So I'll have to check that at some point.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, if that's the case at all. Also, as I'm reading further down in this article, did you catch that it said Gears 6 has yet to be officially announced by the Coalition, but is widely expected to be on the way? So they canceled 2 projects to work on the thing, but it's not Gears 6? Like, okay then. Because Gears 6, maybe they canceled Gears 6. That was unannounced also.
I highly doubt that.
I doubt it too. But I don't know. It kind of sucks to not be able to see the other stuff that they could have made if they were allowed to make their own passion projects instead of, you got to continue Gears because it's a franchise that we need. It's one of Microsoft's flagship franchises. You got to keep making it. Which I also think is weird. I guess that kind of sets up for a discussion about flagship franchises and whether or not they should still be a thing. Like, how long can you carry a franchise before your flagship needs to be that, like, baton needs to be handed off to somebody else? Because Halo was a flagship and it's old and it feels old, and then Gears is a flagship and it's getting, you know, middling at this point. So why not let them work on something new? Why have them cancel both of those unannounced projects instead of being like
with Hollywood and movies and TV shows? But why go through and make something new when you can remake something and get money for it?
I guess so. I guess that's part of it. I guess that's why the industry doesn't feel as exciting as it used to as well, because you've just got that kind of mentality. Is like, we've got to make another Call of Duty, we've got to make another Madden, we've got to make another Gears of War or another Halo, because that's what people will buy because they're comfortable with it, instead of it being like, let's make something totally new and see what happens.
So there are 13 main releases for Assassin's Creed and 19 spin-offs. There are 32 Assassin's Creed games since 2007.
Ubisoft. Oh my God, calm down.
You want to talk about over shipping your flagship.
Your flagship, yeah. I don't disagree with that. Well, and
that's 13
Ubisoft ran into that problem where they wanted to turn it into an annual franchise, and it was just a bad idea. Because you had Syndicate that people were like, about. You had Unity that was broken on launch. It launched aside Rogue that people were kind of like, about. So, like, you'd think they'd learn their lesson from the oversaturation, but they really haven't.
Let me give you this timeline, because this is intense. Assassin's Creed, the original, was in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed 2, 2009. Brotherhood, 10. Revelations, 11. 3, 12. Black Flag, 13. Rogue, 14. Unity, 14. Syndicate, 15. Origins, 17. Odyssey, 18. Valhalla, 20. Mirage, 2023. The biggest gap was between 2020 and 2023, where they were like, oh my God, this is getting way too much. We gotta slow it down at least a little bit.
Oh, well, pandemic also helped a bit in that too.
Yeah, thankfully. It's like one of the few things that the pandemic actually helped with.
I will say one of the things, like, you had 2 and then Revelations and Brotherhood, they were all year by year.
Those were DLCs.
Yeah, they felt like really expanded DLC for 2. So I think that they were all meant to be kind of like one game, but they were like, maybe we don't do it all at once. It's a little bit long, and, you know, at the time, you weren't going to be able to get people to commit to that kind of length. But if you split it up like that, where it was, you know, year by year, and it still felt like it was full enough.
Fair, also, DLCs were becoming a very popular strategy.
Well, and selling things that were gonna be DLC as their own, which was what happened with ODST from Halo, was gonna be a DLC, but then it was like, make it its own game and let's sell it. It's like, okay, we can do that, I guess. Sure, why not? But yeah, Assassin's Creed getting wild up in that shit.
Yeah.
Now I've got to figure out where to go from there.
We only have like 2 spots, so
I know. Well, Chicken did mention the Resident Evil remake earlier, so I'll let him.
Did I not post the
You did.
I post the link for that one? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
12 minutes of all new footage, which
they
new,
do.
but it's a remake, so is it new? I'm just kidding.
Yes, it is actually.
I'm kidding with you.
One of the because they made it a lot more serious in the original. When you get to the house, Leon runs into the house and Lewis is standing there and he's like, oh, it's good to see you again. And then he makes some crude joke about the president's daughter and her boobs, and Leon just kind of is like, oh, whatever, and just goes on about it. It's like, okay, whatever, it's just a crude joke and whatever. In this remake, he's in the house and whatnot, and he calls for them, and they run up into the house and get in there. And after they secure the door, Leon like grabs him and shoves him up against the wall and is like very aggressive with him. It's like, wow, that's a really strong, like, different take on this, because he's like does not trust this guy at all, and wants to know what his position is here or whatever. So it's an interesting change in that style of storytelling, because Leon kind of looks like he's still got his little jovial side, but most of the time he's got a very intense demeanor.
He's more serious now.
Yes, like a very
And
intense
if they
demeanor.
cut some of his cheesiness, though, that's gonna be sad.
No, he's still got his lions in there and his little kind of looser attitude, but you could see it in his face that he's much more traumatized. Like, people keep comparing the two pictures, and it's like, yeah, Leon from Resident Evil 2 remake to Leon in the Resident Evil 4 remake, and it's like, yeah, that dude's seen some shit. Like that dude's seen a lot of shit.
I mean, have you seen the bioweapons?
I have seen a lot of the bioweapons, so I totally get why he's all sorts of traumatized after that. But the map looks good, the enemies look good, the style of gameplay. Somebody was like, "Oh man, I hope they don't make them too passive or the enemies too weak and things like that." Because in part of it, it's he's sneaking around, he kills one, and then he starts moving towards the church. And the moment that the Ganados see you, they turn into damn rabid wolves. Like, they just swarm you like crazy. I'm like, good God. It's almost to the point of where you want to just be a little bit more stealthy, because God, they come at you fast too. Because in the original game, they would just run up on you and then be slow. No, this time they just like swarm you, and you've got to be very tactile on how you move around them.
All right.
This is definitely a good change, and I doubt they're going to be very passive. And then they definitely grab Ashley as much as possible, because they're changing the way she works. In the original one, she had her own health bar and all of that, but in this one, they got rid of her health bar. She can still be grabbed. She also tries to move out of the way of them. She'll try to avoid them. But she can get hit and knocked down, and you'll have to go save her and pick her back up. You can also stab the enemies that are carrying her, because part of the problem before was they would pick her up and you'd either have to run up, stop and knife them, or shoot them. You could run up and just knife them in the neck and save her, which is nice.
I like that some of the biggest I don't like it arguments is, I don't like the way the rain looks. I just can't with you people. What is wrong with you? The rain doesn't look that bad.
Me and a lot of the people watching people complain about that kind of shit, it's like, just really? That is what you're going to pick to complain about? Really? But you know just as well as I do, Grip.
Anything they can.
Yeah, so from Silent Hill 2 to Resident Evil 4, the things people nitpick is ridiculous.
With Silent Hill 2, he looks older. I don't like it. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry that the PS2 graphics couldn't full commit to give him the right looking age at the time, but cool. I guess that's the thing we could be mad about. Sure, grab the pitchfork. Like, what is wrong with you? Shut up.
You can't hide Ashley anymore either.
You can't put her in the trash cans?
No, you can't put her in the trash can anymore. The game is supposed to be escorting her, so you don't leave her in the trash.
But that's what she needs to hide. I'm escorting her to the hiding spot. Get the trash can.
Well, you can tell her. You can tell her to sit back and wait, and she'll follow you, but further back. The AI seems a lot smarter this time too. Like, when she's running, she'll just like crouch down and keep her head down while you're shooting. So she knows to follow you better. So I am well overhyped for this game. I mean, seeing what they did with Dead Space and how good it was, and then when Resident Evil comes out and it's going to be that good, then the last bit of icing is going to be Silent Hill 2 coming out and just being as good.
Well, I don't know when that's ever going to come out, so we'll see.
Probably next year, if I had to guess.
I think that's optimistic.
Hey, optimism.
But I do hope that Resident Evil 4 lives up to every bit of your hype and expectations.
I mean, looking at it, it looks so good.
It does. It looks good to me. I can't get over everybody being like, the rain, though.
Yeah, these people are just dumb. People have complained about the way Ashley looks and things like that. It's like, she's the president's daughter. Of course she's going to look ritzy and, like, fancy and whatnot.
Yeah.
President's daughter.
She's not some random teenager from down the block.
Exactly. She's the president's daughter. So it's only fair that she's gonna look expensive.
Expensive. That's a funny way of putting it.
Yes.
Oh man. Well,
Oh God.
when does that come out? Next
March
month?
24th.
Yeah, next month. Cool.
Oh, the dogs. The new model for the dogs are just horrifying.
Mm.
Yeah, all the graphics
dogs are
just
already
look so
scary,
good.
so good.
Oh yeah, I never did like the dogs, but they look even worse now. But yeah, I'm totally in for it. I'm gonna play the first, or I'm gonna play Resident Evil 4, and then I'm gonna play the remake right afterwards.
Well, we can go from complaining or talking about people complaining about dumb shit to me complaining about what may be dumb shit. I don't know. But there was some news around leaked Dragon Age Dreadwolf alpha footage. And people talking about it because apparently, nobody wants to rat out their friend and actually post the video. And I get that. You don't want to get them in trouble or yourself. But some of the changes make me sad. I guess like the subheader for the article on Eurogamer is 2018's God of War was reportedly a guiding reference point. That should tell you enough that it's like what, but that's a hack and slash, and this is not that. Why are you trying to be that? Don't be that. Don't be that. Why do you want to go so far?
So well in cells, and
I mean, it does, but it's because God of War built that from the ground up. Dragon Age is trying to do that 4 games in. It's
I
like,
mean, to me, it's just like the evolution of the game. Like it was eventually coming to a point where it was becoming more hack and slash than it was strategy. It's just that this time they started leaning heavy into the hack and slash. Look how well it did for Final Fantasy. You went from turn based to live combat.
Yeah, but the live combat, I mean, I don't
You
know.
don't play with the,
I
you
don't,
you
but
don't play
that's
with the time stop on, so
and that's fine. But I mean, with it feels a little bit different, I guess, with the way that they have it set up because with those they were all melee characters versus Dragon Age where you're not all melee characters and you can't swap to your team like you used to be able to. So basically, like for core players, it's like, okay, take everything you know about this franchise and how you used to play it and throw it in the trash. Cool. I hope you like this one, core players. It's like, no, you just threw all of our shit in the trash.
Oh, you have to get used to that. Playing Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2 was like I was playing a fucking different franchise entirely.
Really?
Yeah, because Mass Effect 1 is so different from Mass Effect 2. I was like,
I didn't
it's
get that.
the same thing. Well, it's the same thing with the Witcher. The first game,
oh my
the
God,
combat in it
jarring.
is way the fuck different between 1 and 2. Like,
well, I mean, I haven't played The Witcher, so I don't know about that one. But like,
Yeah,
Mass Effect didn't feel intrinsically like, oh my God, this is culture shock between 1 and 2 when I played 1 and then immediately into 2. It was like, oh, they moved some of my buttons around. Let me fix that.
Not me. It was like because I'm pretty sure in the first game it was the heat or
yeah, it was the heat sync thing.
Yeah, and the second one it was ammo. I was like, how do I reload? How do I do this? How does this work?
That's
and
what the tutorial is for.
But it still does not like stop the muscle memory from like playing from one game like that to the next. You're like, this.
But other than
this
that,
is
they didn't change. Like they changed some of the ability trees. I think
they upgraded that game a millionfold. Like
I don't know why it didn't feel that different
better
to me. Because I did play them like back to back. My first time ever playing it, I was like played Mass Effect and then immediately started the second game.
That's a shame because it should have felt so much superior. Like it should have felt like coming into the new
Mass
century. No, the second one, because the first one, like Dragon Age,
it feels like
was
they cleaned
dated,
up the combat, but it didn't.
And then the second one was like fucking unbelievable upgrades, so far from the first game. Same thing with Dragon Age 2 to Dragon Age. It was like, wow, this is a lot different. It's like upgraded to different.
Yeah, I like some of the upgrades, but I always liked the ability that apparently they're going to get rid of because you can't swap to your other teammates and tell them what to do in this new one. Where you could stop time and be like, all right, now let's treat this like a turn-based thing where I can now figure out what you're going to do next because I need to micromanage what you do so that we can maximize this combat. Now it's like, your friend over there is going to hit a thing. Who cares? Your friend over there is going to do a thing. Who cares? You're in the middle and you're the player character, so you do whatever you can to mitigate whatever they're doing. Especially if your AI are sometimes less than optimal about what they're doing, which has happened.
For the most part, you just have to create a proper AI. Final Fantasy 15 did it. Your AI,
oh my God, Final Fantasy 15 really did. I really liked the way that theirs worked. But I also, again, that's one where it gives you 4 party members, which is what you've had in the Dragon Age franchise. But apparently in this one, you get 2 party members. There will be you and 2 friends instead of you and 3 friends.
3 party members this time because you get 4 people. Now there's someone you get 2. No.
You get 4 people or 3 people. It's 3 people now, and you're one of them. So stuck in the middle with you, kind of deal. But you're stuck in the middle with 2 people that you can't do anything about. So good luck to you. I hope the AI is great. But it's EA, so that's kind of an iffy wish there. But I don't know. It feels like this is going to rub a lot of the core franchise players the wrong way. And it's the
reading
same
through this, which I will send this to you, but reading through this, because somebody was like, how do we all feel about the new combat system? Everybody is like, it's fine. I mean, I'm sad to see the tactical style go, but the new dynamic style seems to be fine. Like, I'm excited for it.
I want to see it as a ranged player, because if the idea is that it's leaning a lot more hack and slash, I need to see how my other party members can compensate for the fact that I plan to be in the fucking back. So you need to keep your friends off me, please. But I don't know. I think the story implication is going to be interesting. It says that for the playtesting that they saw, you played a warden in Weishaupt. So
Grey Warden.
Yeah. Well, they're all Grey Wardens. That's what wardens are.
Specifically a Grey Warden.
There's no other colors. But
I mean, Warden can be a class too. It's a cleric technically. In the Dragon Age
universe, wardens mean one thing. You did not have to clarify. But yes,
I clarified for the people that don't know.
All right, so you're at Weishaupt, which is, if you don't know, the home of the Grey Wardens. And in Inquisition, you get to make a choice about what happens there. So I kind of wonder if they're following through with that choice. If your choice from Dragon Age Inquisition is going to matter here. Or if this is like so many years down the line that it doesn't matter and they can tell whatever they want, you know?
It'll probably be that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what the time gap is going to be between the end of Inquisition and this. Although if you do a time jump like that, I guess you do justify why you're not bringing back some of the characters that were in the previous games into this one, because that's been a big discussion topic amongst the Dragon Age community, is like which people do you think we'll see from previous games, because you've always seen some carry over from here to here to here. So if you do a big time jump, how many of them are still around? I mean, and in what capacity, and how much have all of your choices up to this point meant that they could really affect anything in this game? Because I think that's one of the things that everybody kind of saw in Inquisition, where it's like, we've been allowed to make so many choices about the world state. How do you even write that into the next game? Because
you remove it entirely.
Yeah, like if you don't get rid of it entirely, how do you compensate for all of the things that you've let us do up until this point? So I do think there's a time skip. Especially since the person that you're chasing after the big bad is pretty much timeless. But that almost does kind of end up leaving you with the feels bad man a little bit, because then it means all of the stuff that you did do up to this point is literally like,
I mean, to be fair, some of the shit that you've done in the first game and second game led up to like nothing, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, some of it did. Some of it didn't. Some of it got mentioned, and things like that. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll see in like 30,000 years when this game ever actually comes out, because I think 2025 is the soonest you're going to get this game out to the public. I think that they'll announce a release date for next year and then push it back repeatedly. I think that's what's going to happen with it. Because, I mean, if you're getting alpha playtests right now, you're still, really working on things. But we'll see how it goes. I just really want to know. I don't think it's going to be great. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be great, but I'm interested to see how they try to make it work. So
I think they're going to try to pigeonhole it too specifically into something that it's not, and then it will draw in a wider casual audience, but it's going to off-put the
core audience.
the core audience.
I think you're right. I think they're going to try to make it too bland so that it can be mass consumed, but the people who really support your franchise are going to be turned off by it because it's not enough of like the personal touches and the details that we had seen in the past. It's going to be like, here's your, spam. Enjoy it. You can, put it in the pan and fry it, or you can eat it straight out of the can. Those are your two choices. Enjoy. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be one of those things where if they've got 1 million Dragon Age fans, they're gonna sacrifice half of them to gain another 1 million casual fans.
Well, you're gonna sell it to people that are gonna buy it to stream it or YouTube it day one, and that's literally all they're gonna do with it. It's not. I feel like I guess that's one of the things that's hurting the industry too, is I don't want to say clout chasing because that's not really what it is, but that's like the meta. If you want to be a streamer or YouTuber, or content creator, I guess, wherever you're making it, is you have to get the new thing on the day that it comes out so that you can play it whether you actually care about it or not. And then you throw it away and move on. You never think about it again. You only consume the next item, and then you consume the next item and the next item because that's what you have to do to stay popular and relevant. You don't attach to any of it.
You're a variety streamer, yes. But there are streamers that stick to
a certain genre.
I would say that is the smaller percentage, though. You have more people that are going to play the thing the day it comes out because they have a huge audience that only cares about what's new, and then you throw it away and play the next new. So.
Yes and no. I'll give it to you that you, like, almost everybody in all of these categories do that. Mm-hmm. But when they're done, they go back to their category. It's like you've got Pokemon streamers who will play this game because they like the Dragon Age series, and then they'll toss it and go back to their Pokemon genre. And then you've got people who are horror fans and be like, yeah, I've always been a fan of Dragon Age, I'm going to play this. And then they're done with it and toss it and go back to that. It's because they can't, but you're going to have your RPG fans who will play it, and if it's good enough, they'll play it again. Like, honestly, you could have been an RPG streamer because you would just play the same game with different runs and things like that, different characters and different varieties. People would enjoy watching that if you were able to like pigeonhole yourself into.
Until everybody got mad because my Mass Effect runs would never be Renegade because I can't be mean. I just can't be mean Shepard. I can't do it.
So you're gonna find people like-minded like that too. Be like, don't ever choose Renegade. That's an awful option. Don't be a dick. But that's the thing, is that in those certain communities, you'll get those people that'll just play the game because they like the game, and then they're going to be done with it forever.
I would argue that there are pockets of those communities, though, that are playing the game not because they like it, but because it's new, so it will put eyes on them.
No, because those communities will take a viewer hit for it, because I don't know how many. I've been in quite a few specific genres, and oh my god, the moment those people play anything other than their title game or genre, they get shit on.
Yeah.
So they're going to take a viewer hit because they'd rather play the game, and then they'll come back to it. I mean, one of the streamers that I watch periodically is like, if you don't like the game I'm playing, go watch somebody else and then come back next week and I'll be playing something else. Like, just straight up, don't even bother complaining about it. Just leave. The door is right there if you don't want to watch this. I appreciate you want to support me, but if you're going to complain about it, then the door's right there. I'll be back. I'll be back next week.
One of the things that they did mention in the article was that the most immediate thing you noticed is that the animation quality has drastically improved. And they talked about how the player character hairs look glorious, and I'm like, I hope it stays that way for the whole game, because Frostbite's not the most forgiving, graphically pretty engine out there. It's really not.
You're going to have a hard time running that motherfucker, dude.
And I really hope that they have seriously jacked up the quality standards, because everybody remembers what Mass Effect Andromeda looked like, and that's running on Frostbite 2. And that had hair that walked away from people's heads. So I really hope that they have taken into consideration what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda and have applied it to this and go, okay, this has to look good, and we cannot have, my face is like this because I'm tired. And it's like, oh, you actually put that line in the game to justify why they look so awful. That's not how it works. That's not funny. That's sad.
Don't worry, I look like this because I'm tired.
My face is tired. That's actually
face.
what that character said. It's in Mass Effect Andromeda where you're talking to the short-haired lady in, I think it's Addison is her name, on the main ship, or the main arc, whatever.
That means that they knew
Yeah.
what the fuck was going on in the engine, and we're just like, yeah, we'll just add a funny line just to, meta humor. Everyone loves meta humor, right?
It's like no, we don't. We don't love it because this is still broken garbage. So I hope that they had learned from that, and maybe that's why they're taking so long to work on this one. But that's I don't know, a really lofty goal. I feel like they're gonna be like, yeah, especially since we've heard about how hard it is even for the people that are working on the games to get any help with the Frostbite engine. It's like, oh, we can't make this thing is doing a weird thing and we can't fix it. We'll get you the engineers. There's only 4 of them, so you're in line. Your number is 754. They'll see you in about 2 years. Oh, okay. Thanks. So I hope that they have learned, but I don't know. EA seems like they want to make a difference in their past reputation and be better, but that has yet to be seen. I feel like a magic 8-ball is yet to be seen, but I'm not pre-ordering this game. My pre-orders are my day 1 purchases. I don't pre-order anything, but my day 1 purchases are very selective these days. So this will probably not be a day 1 purchase. It will be something that I keep an eye on as they get closer to launch date and give us a launch date to start with.
And for the record, Dead Space was not a day 1 purchase; it was a day 4 purchase. I watched for the reviews to come out first, and one of the big ones on Steam had me cackling because it's like, if you like Dead Space, then you're absolutely gonna like Dead Space. It's like, okay,
Thank you.
I mean, you're not wrong. If you like Dead Space, you'll like Dead Space because it's the same except better. It's like, okay, I appreciate that. I am buying Resident Evil 4 on day 1. I will be one of those reviews that people wait for.
I mean,
yeah, if you like the game, buy this game.
Had Saints Row come out on Steam day 1, that would have been a day 1 purchase for me. Even though the game was, from what I understand, kind of... Yeah, if it comes out this year, we'll see. If it comes over to Steam. If it doesn't, then I guess you're gonna just miss me with that shit. Which is really unfortunate for me. But I'm not buying it on Epic out of principle. So, people are like, you're dumb for that. I don't care. It's my principles, not yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say, everybody has the right to their own principles.
Yep. I'd just rather not. Thank you very much. So, it is what it is.
Yep.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything.
The important stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, this is where we get Griff's train wreck of an outro.
Here we go. Choo choo.
Thanks for everybody who hangs out with us each and every other week, as Oak Tree pointed out last week, that he changed it to. So you can follow us on Twitter. Honestly, I only ever post on that when things are going out because Twitter is just a hot garbage fire these days. But it will let you know when the show is coming out if you follow the podcast channel or podcast handle, which is at Infinite Res PC. You can follow me at Griff's Lineham. I haven't posted in probably a year or so. Coming close, I would imagine. And then Chicken is... I gotta leave. Chicken 313. I'll say it for you. I got it.
Say it for me, Griff. Do Bacchus too.
At Baka Pickle. Yeah. And then Chicken will be probably streaming this week. I would imagine not Monday, but probably Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh yes. The rest of the week, if we got it from Tuesday to Friday.
Yeah, just kind of depends on his work schedule.
5-6 hours.
But he is on twitch.tv/EliteChicken313. Oak is out of town this week. I don't actually, he told me, but I don't remember what day he's coming back. So I imagine that, if you check him out on Twitter at MDBOaktree, he'll tell you when he'll be back on, and his Twitch channel is twitch.tv/MDBOaktree. And I don't even know what he's playing right now. Grounded and like a couple other things that he's been round robining, but I don't know what his main thing is right now. He just finished something. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about anything these days.
I just heard
Our child upstairs.
the pitter patter of large feet.
Is there anything else that I was supposed to mention at the end of the show?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. Well, cool then. Thanks for hanging out, and I'm Griff.
I'm Chicken.
Yeah, I'm Baka.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
No train wreck.